Hi everybody, I'm Dave Kaufman. You know, here on HerpersTV we do a lot of field herping segments and a lot of segments on conservation. But the other aspect of herpetoculture is captive breeding. And in this episode we go to eastern Missouri to visit with Ben Renick of Renick Reptiles as he shows us some one-of-a-kind ball pythons, retics, and anacondas. So welcome to Zilla Presents HerpersTV.
I'm a herper, I'm a herper, and I like it.
My name is Ben Renick. I'm with Ben Renick Reptiles, and this is my story. I started keeping snakes when I was about 7 years old. Eventually, I started out with a yellow rat snake, and eventually got into ball pythons, corn snakes, king snakes, stuff like that. Over the years, I started expanding my collection, and by the time I was in high school, I was keeping reticulated pythons, Burmese pythons, and anacondas. From there, I actually accidentally produced my first clutch when I was like between 7 or 8, maybe not, or 7 or 8, maybe 9. I just had two snakes together, and I eventually got eggs out of it, and it kind of started my passion for breeding reptiles. And in 2008, I actually incorporated my company. It was pretty simple process, and I was producing, I want to say that year, about 20 clutches. And in 2008, 20 clutches was like, that was a lot of snakes, and it was a pretty good lucrative aspect in 2008. And then basically every year, I built my company a little bit more and more and more and more. I never really had the idea of staying small, so I kind of just grew it up to where I knew where I wanted to be. This is all stuff that just hatched out within the last week and a half. So you have a super inchy calico queen spin clutch, super inchy calico queen spin, inchy king spin, super inchy calico spinner blast, inchy calico spinner blast, pastel lesser, super inchy calico lesser pinstripe, lesser cinnamon, possible calico, super inchy lesser spider pinstripe, banana champagne cinnamons. Calico killer queen bee. Hypo pastel lesser calico. Calico Mojave bee. Cinnamon spider pied. Cocoa is a new project that I'm working on. I've sold one of them so far, but other than that, I'm not actually going to release a lot of the project until next year. But this is a cocoa champagne pinstripe. The cocoa gene puts in a lot of blacks, darkens everything up. We haven't done a super form for it yet, but we should see one hopefully by next season. So this is an inchy lesser fire. Inchy nuclear spider. That is a butter or lesser fire. Inchy king spin. So inchy lesser spider pinstripe. Savannah spot nose. So spot nose Mojave cinnamon. This is a gamma spinner blast. Gamma will basically busy everything up, so it takes the lines, it thins them out in a lot of the spider stuff. This is the first year I'm hatching out any sort of gamma spider combinations. These are sirens. These are Huffman cinnamons. So that is a siren, and this is a Mojave siren. So that's a Huffman cinnamon Mojave. Spot nose clown. So the spot nose puts in a lot of flaming in the sides, and then it just puts craziness into the belly too. Super inchy lesser bee. With the spider gene, I think. It's one of those things, it's personal preference. Some people mind the wobble, some people don't. It's just kind of up to the person. We produce quite a few of them. It doesn't affect how they live, doesn't affect how they eat or breed or thrive at all, so it's just personal preference. Vanilla cream champagne. My theory on the ringer is it's random. High ringers tend to still throw high ringers. I have seen a lot of my higher ringer stuff actually throw higher ringers. It does seem to present itself more in fire combinations and cinnamon combinations and vanilla combinations and champagne combos. But I mean, you can get it in almost anything. It's just one of those things. Sometimes you get lucky and get them, and sometimes you don't. This is a white wedding het hypo. Most of our pies will have the head with pattern, but just like 1 out of every 10 will just be solid white. That's not a real statistic, I just made that up. But I have yet to hatch out any others that were solid white like this, but I've seen them before. So just every once in a while you get some that are just completely solid white, and they're called white weddings versus spides. Joppa Silver Streak Pinstripe. Joppa is actually an orange enhancing gene, so it takes everything and puts in a lot of orange into it, especially things with pastel or anything like that. Brightens everything up and cleans up a lot of the pattern. Also reduces some certain things. Hydra Lesser Yellow Belly. The Hydra is a codonic mutation. I produced it back in 2006. It's kind of subtle, but it basically takes the pattern, whacks it out, puts in a lot of question marks, and with certain genes it just reacts, puts in striping, puts in a lot of blacks, and it's been doing some pretty cool stuff. So we'll see where it goes in the next couple of years. Alright, so base Hydra. Puts in a lot of like squigglies, and some of them they have a lot higher flames too. It's a subtle gene. Every day I pick a wall, basically, of snakes that I'm going to be cleaning. So on Monday I'll do basically anywhere, I think it ranges from about 150 to 200 ball pythons a day. But as adults it'll basically be like a wall. So I'll take one section of my building at a time. So Monday I take a section, Tuesday I take a section, Wednesday is feed day. Wednesday is the day that I spend from the time I get here to the time I go home feeding. So literally the entire day is just nothing but putting a rat in a tub and then, you know, moving on to the next tub and go, 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 go. Then Thursday and Friday I finish up, you know, what I didn't get cleaned Monday and Tuesday. And to be honest, it's a 7-day job here. It's one of those things that you never stop cleaning and you never stop working. I'll spend my evenings figuring out what I'm going to pair for the next year. I do inventory on a weekly basis, but I have to do a separate inventory for breeder, which, you know, I have a breeding inventory, a baby inventory, and everything else. So my breeder inventory, I have to take typically a month or two before I start pairing again, just so I have the weights down and what I can actually pair and how long the female's going to take until she can pair again. And so, I mean, it's a non-stop endeavor. We have about 300 point 1,000, so 300 breeder male ball pythons and about 1,000 breeder female ball pythons. And in total, I'd say at any given point, there's probably 2,500 to 3,000 snakes in this building. On a bad season, we'll produce anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 ball python babies. On a good season, anywhere from 2,000 to 2,500 ball python babies. All right, this is a killer bee. It's not an xanthic killer bee. It's just a killer bee I have that turned just black and gray and white. Not xanthic. Randomly turned up like this. She hatched out like a normal killer bee, and then it was probably a year and a half ago that she just started shedding, and then with every shed she turned more white. Candy. Candy's recessive. They actually hatch out looking like normal albinos, and then over time they start developing all this, it starts purple, and then it starts turning into this kind of tan color. Jaguar. This is not proven genetic as of now. I hatched it out just of a clutch about 3 years ago. Wasn't the greatest eater to start off with, and it's gotten a little bit better with age, and I should be able to get a clutch out of it this upcoming season. I don't think any of them have proven to be genetic as of now, but anything's worth a shot. I keep my males in these mainly just because it's just easier for me, because males don't need all the height that females need, because, you know, females will pile up on eggs, and they eat and thrive and do great in these type of tubs. I tend not to grow my males up to be huge sizes, because they tend not to breed as well whenever they're, you know, 1,500 grams. So all my males I tend to keep around the 500 to 800 gram range, and they do really well in that. albino spider clown. Yeah, I mean, it hatched out with a really, really bold pattern, and then with age it kind of oranged up a little bit. Here is a desert champagne. I originally thought it was a red axanthic, but my completely weird looking desert red axanthic proved out not to be a red axanthic. Calico Enchi Queenspin. Soul Sucker Blast. I do not produce as many retics as I used to. I moved all my retics to the downstairs level of my building, and my seasons just haven't been as good since I did it. So on average, we'll produce 2 to 3 clutches of retics a year. We used to do about 5 to 6, but 2 to 3 is still quite a bit of retics for us. Welcome to the basement of Renick Reptiles. We keep reticulated pythons, blood pythons, white-lip pythons, green anacondas, boa constrictors, green tree pythons. This is a T-positive albino green anaconda. She's wild caught. I got her back in 2006. She came out of South America. She's really heavy. She produced her first litter last year. Sancheras got into a long time ago, years ago, and the male passed, or the female passed away. Then the male went overseas. Haven't heard anything back from that one. Then they found another male that I know of a few years back. It was in pretty bad shape. I don't know what happened to that one. And then they found another one in, I guess it was just a few months ago, and I think it went to Asia. Hallway of retics. This is a Ghost Genetic Stripe. This is a project I originated back in 2010. I bought the project off of Sancheras. I got the original male out of Indonesia, and then a group of double head Ghost Genetic Stripes. I produced my first Ghost Genetic Stripe in 2012, I believe it was. And I made the first ghost back in 2010. We use 3 incubators. These are all made by Habitat Systems. The reason I don't have like a full room incubator is mainly because I'm really paranoid about if something goes wrong. I don't want to lose my entire year's production in one room. So if something goes wrong in one of these, I only lose a third of my production. So that makes me feel a little bit better. But that's why we use incubators still. I'm pretty old school about everything, I guess. These I just cut the other day. I've been trying my best not to cut at all this year. So this year, I won't cut any time before 50 days typically, but I'm trying to let everything pip out on its own, and then like after 2 or 3 babies' heads are poking out, then I'll start cutting eggs. My biggest clutch I've ever gotten out of ball pythons was 16. It was, I believe, in 09, maybe 2010, a while ago. For an incubation substrate, I use perlite, and I mix water crystals with it. And with that, I don't typically go by any certain ratio. I just go by feel. After a while, you kind of get the feel for it. And I typically do about 2.5 to 3 inches of perlite, and then it's basically set to go. With the water crystals, you don't even have to change it out with every single clutch. We do. Because it doesn't really cost that much to switch them out, but you could probably get 3 or 4 clutches, actually full-term incubation with the same perlite. You just have to, clean out the dirty parts of it. Water crystals, it doesn't actually get wet, so the eggs actually sit on a medium that's still basically dry. It does produce humidity, and it works flawlessly in that aspect of it. Despite the fact that we do produce a lot of snakes, we are still a small company. We don't, have massive amount of employees or anything like that. Like my wife and I mainly run this company. We thoroughly just enjoy snakes. That's basically how we do it. We're not like those people that only care about money and not about the animals or anything like that. We just love snakes. So we keep a lot.
What's your opinion? What is your opinion on the spider gene? Comment below and share your opinion. It really doesn't matter if you have 1 rack of snakes or a collection the size of Ben Renick's. It's the love of these animals that makes us all herpers. And you're going to see a lot more very cool and interesting collections here on future episodes of Zilla Presents HerpersTV.